Okay, so this is some other documentation of actions of Aurelie Lacassan, who did not advocate for me, who set me up for the sabotage, and who is one of the worst humans that I know. So okay, no point in waiting for tomorrow. So I wrote this on March 2nd. I'll just reshare this instead. For those who are interested, here is the recent series of events involving my PhD supervisor, Aurelie Lacassan. In my view, Aurelie set me up for racism and dehumanization by conspiring to force me to accept erasure of the research I have been working on for 2 years, which cost several $1,000s, by the way. I will not allow the racism or accept the indignities, and I will oppose the ongoing genocide by erasure by faculty and administration at St. Paul University. So, so Orly Lacassan was insisting that I use her Gmail. And when Orly Lacassan, it was technically still my supervisor. Orly Lacassan took a 1 year leave of absence to be rectrice at Université de Hearst. And Orly Lacassan had an active St. Paul University account. I was telling them over and over again, it's not appropriate to use her personal email. I think that she was trying to avoid a paper trail. So here it is. I'm saying that it's not appropriate. So on February 15th, I told her directly that I'm going to use her email only. Late December is when I was complaining of racism online. I didn't do so by email to any profs until January when all this hit the fan. But online, I was complaining about the arbitrary devaluing of my work by Chris Mackey. Okay, next. Dr. TP is Dr. Tremblay-Pepin. STP is Simone Tremblay-Pepin. So here I'm telling them about what I consider to be a conspiracy. This stuff is very typical. They've sabotaged the research of many PhD students, First Nations PhD students who are trying to do real First Nations research. They fundamentally change it, basically turning it from real First Nations research into fake First Nations research. You have to accept those indignities, and not only that, but you have to take your fake research into the community and put that on the people. And so they know that there's a lot of people in the communities that know that all this stuff, like these people are full of shit, and this is what's happening when people come in with these fake projects. Like I mean, I'm not bashing the First Nations PhDs who did that to get their PhDs. I'm not sure that there is another way to get your PhD. Maybe they thought, after I get my PhD, I can do real research. So I mean, this is what goes on, and it's been going on for decades. So here I'm saying that if they had a real problem with my research, they had a duty to discuss it with me long before the last semester of coursework, which cost several $1,000s. So after the last semester, there's a research proposal that's produced, and then you're on to your like basically I forget what it's called, but you're off to do your research and there's nothing else required except, your draft, really. And so then they waited till the very end to sabotage all my research and basically erase 2 years of work. And that's not okay. Students need to know that if the department has a problem with the core of your research, they need to discuss it with you and they need to be working with you long before the last semester of coursework. And it was Amanda Wilson specifically who erased my research. And Amanda Wilson was my first class. So my first class in fall of 2023 was with Amanda Wilson, and my last class where this happened in the last course of coursework, the last semester was with Amanda Wilson. So at the end, at the beginning, and at the end. And the core of my research is what I applied to the university for. What they erased was, is in my original work, and I have been talking about it with faculty and students since the beginning. And so they waited all this time to erase it and to rewrite it, which was done by Amanda Wilson. The reason why it was done by Amanda Wilson and she was put into the beginning and the end is because Amanda Wilson has tenure. So then, even if any of my complaints were actually, they were forced to recognize any of my complaints, what happens is that, if they make a finding that's in the favor of the First Nation student, it's always a tenured prof who is the subject of that finding, and nothing happens to a tenured prof. This is the strategies that the dumb strategies that they use, it's old. They've been doing this for decades. 2 years of work, several $1,000s. They're literally teaching this game. Okay, next. So nobody was ever able, I asked several times for a grading methodology. So, like discrimination is not okay, and including like, in grading. And so people who are not familiar with like ethical guidelines or, like this kind of research-based, like university process and, pedagogical, you know, methods and methodologies. Like you need to have a grading methodology, and it seems at the universities that they've completely disposed of that so that they can arbitrarily devalue some people's work, and they can arbitrarily like overvalue work by that work by students who are like who where the work is not able to really meet a certain bar. And the reason that it's not able to meet a certain bar is because these people are new to this country, they're new to this culture, and they're new to the language. They're literally still learning the language. And so what's happening is that like in the case, like it's my view in the case of Chris Mackey's class, that students whose like experience and educational background and all that is far, far below mine. Like for example, I've been studying the social sciences for my entire life in Canada, and somehow they're able to achieve better marks than me. And so then that's what I'm trying to like. It's a scam, is what I'm saying, and they have to use unethical and arbitrary processes in order to create such distorted results. And in order to create such distorted results, they would have to dispose of any kind of grading methodology. No one was able to produce it. I asked for it several times. No one in the Department of Social Innovation at St. Paul University was able to produce a grading methodology. So this is important to know. Here we go. See, they're always telling me that I need to file a formal complaint, and I never did, and I wouldn't have. That's a trap. And like I said in some of my previous videos, they weaponize it against you, and they also use it as a basis for to accuse you of retaliation against staff and faculty. So I'm reminding them of their duties, professional and ethical. Okay, next. So again, it's not appropriate for me to use her Gmail to communicate with my supervisor, and so I don't care what she has to do in order to figure out her password for her University of St. Paul email. She's a grown up and she should figure it out. So here we go. Inappropriate, blah, blah, blah. Recent events, no longer willing to use that channel. Okay, so this is me communicating to Orly that in my view, she is implicated in the racism and the retaliatory administrative violence. Due to lack of communication and due to racism and retaliatory administrative process, the only news that I can report is that I have selected and so yeah, about so she was still overseeing my other course for this last semester when all this hit the fan. It was 8121. So that was it's not a tech like it's not a standard course where you attend class. It was more of this sort of like directed reading format, and it was supposed to be with my supervisor, and this is why this is the update that I'm giving her on that. Again, requesting a meeting, again asking her to communicate with me formally. She does have access to, and that is not correct. So Simon Tremblay Pepin is incorrect in his assessment. She has the same address today as she always had, and she never lost any access other than pretending she can't get in with her password or whatever it is. A matter that is easily resolved with, IT. And like I said, she's a grown up and she can fix any problem that she pretends to have. Again, same stuff, not appropriate. I think we've seen this one, so maybe these are repeating. Yes, these are repeating. So that's all now for that one.